Hello and welcome to Big Muddy Mayhem, the podcast where we talk about true crime and bad behavior throughout the Midwest.
Each week we'll bring you 2 stories from the heartland that might break your heart, but we hope to entertain you along the way.
I'm Tracey Laricha.
And I'm Janett O'Brien. Hello!
Hello, Janet!
How are you?
Boy, we both just feel beat up tonight, don't we?
So tired.
I know. Some days we get here and everybody's all energized.
And some days I just want to take a nap.
It's like this. But we've got stories to tell, so we're going to do it.
Yeah.
How's your week been?
It's been fine. I started a little part-time gig over the weekend. I think that's part of the reason why I'm tired.
I hear you.
And I went for a nice fall drive with the parents.
Oh, nice. Good.
Hi, Mom and Dad.
Good.
And we went up to basically Hannibal and drove. We went up the Illinois side, went over to Hannibal, and then drove south to see Fall the Colors.
Oh, nice. Were there colors?
There were colors some places,
Ish.
not. But
Yeah.
between Hannibal and Louisiana, Missouri, right on 79, lots of fall colors.
Nice.
So
Good,
it's very
good,
pretty.
good.
Very,
Yeah.
very pretty. How was your weekend?
It was good. I led a food tour downtown this
Nice.
weekend, which was lovely. If you have a company that is looking for a private corporate event, please contact Savor St. Louis.
Savor St. Louis.
We can make everything amazing. So
Nice.
the group couldn't have been nicer. Like, it's so sweet and a beautiful day weather-wise.
Oh, yeah, it was beautiful this weekend.
Yeah.
Saturday was exceptional.
That's where, when we were out, I'm just like, middle of October, you could get anything in St. Louis, but they got beautiful weather and good food and a delightful tour guide.
Who was
And
that?
myself and also Amanda, my friend.
Nice.
Like, Amanda was like the lead guide, and I was just kind of like backing up for her.
Sweet.
And interview today, a little bit of a fender bender today. Everybody's okay. Everything is just fine.
Good.
And so then I was on my way to a job interview, so it's really nice to walk in rattled like that. Right?
Nothing can go wrong.
But I treated myself to Trader Joe's afterwards.
Good.
And so if you're so inclined, once we tell our stories, we have some pumpkin mousse cakes
Nice.
to sustain us at the end of the day.
Excellent.
But we do have stories.
Yes, we do. And you go first this week.
I
don't
do
you?
go first this week. I've taken on one of the big heavies.
Okay. You said I already know this story.
After our live,
Uh-huh.
and the fact that we've been doing this for a year now.
I know. Who are we?
I finally have I still have imposter syndrome. Make no mistake. But I feel like it's okay to take on some of the big heavies. Mm-hmm. And so this week, I am going to tell you about the Lemps family.
Yay!
I'm just so glad
I'm
that
so
wasn't
glad
yours.
you did this. I've looked at it several times, and I'm
Me
like,
too.
there's a lot in that story.
It really is, which is, spoiler alert, this is going to be a two-parter. you
Yeah,
guys.
it needs to be a two-parter.
It really is.
does.
I thought I could do it in one, and I was
Nah.
writing, and I'm like,
No.
we need to... So we're going to take you up to a certain point. Like,
Okay.
basically, I'm going to take you mostly up to Prohibition
Okay.
today. So we are going to talk about the Lemps family. They were a very successful brewing family in the city of St. Louis.
Yes, they were.
For those of you outside of the city, if you live in the city, you already know what we're talking about.
Exactly.
All right. So they are known for ghosts,
Yes, they are.
and we're going to get to them later.
Right.
But for starters, we're just going to start to try to meet the cast of characters here and go over the history of a family who will see any kind of misfortune. Like, all kinds of
Oh, so many.
misfortune, even though they were, like, one of the wealthiest families in St. Louis.
Exactly.
So, jump into the Wayback Machine.
Yeah.
We're going to start in 1835.
1835, okay.
Johann Adam Lemp and his wife Federica moved to St. Louis, and they have a 1-year-old child with them.
Okay.
And their 1-year-old kid is named William.
William, okay.
All right. So I felt like I was like, here is where I need the puzzle pieces or like the Legos so that I can show you.
So many puzzle pieces.
Yeah, like who they were. So they are recent immigrants in 1838. And they join a growing population of German immigrants in the city of St. Louis. This is about steam travel is huge right now.
Right.
So up and down the river, it's a booming town. And so as people move in and they're working in trades, then they're going to need, resources.
Yeah, absolutely.
So his name is Johann Adam Lemp, but we're going to call him Adam because that's what he went by once he moved here.
Gotcha.
Adam opens a grocery store, and on the side, he's kind of selling out of his basement his homebrew.
Okay, of course.
Hey, Ed.
Hey, Ed.
No. Ed doesn't sell homebrew, but if you talk real nice to him, he might give you some.
Right.
They make a German-style beer, which is very different from the ales that are popular in the area at the time. Now, it quickly outpaces the grocery business.
Oh, wow.
Like now, exactly, like more people are going there for beer. It's like if you know a dude in 1998 and he's selling like weed and enchiladas. No one is going for the enchiladas.
They might buy the enchiladas after.
While they're there. So anyway, Adam is selling beer and groceries, and the beer quickly outpaces the groceries. We don't spend too much time on him. We've got miles to go.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So 1840, Adam kind of realizes that beer is where the business is. So he sort of pivots from the grocery business, and he opens the Western Brewery. And I will show you a photo of him.
Okay.
So this is... Oh, yep, Adam Lemp. Here we go.
Okay, yep. He has a beard.
1840.
He
looks like every other guy from 1840.
Exactly. He's got the black jacket, the black bow tie, white. Yeah. Yep.
Mustache. Well dressed.
Yes.
Obviously prosperous.
Correct.
But other than that, not much to see here. He opens the Western Brewery, and he uses the caves that are below the brewery.
Yeah.
Because he can store his barrels and stuff in there, and that gives him the chance to make German-style beer.
Right. So if anybody wants to know, the caves are practically right across from the Mississippi River.
Oh, completely.
So it cools just because we're right next to the Mississippi.
Right by the water. So it keeps things at an ideal temperature for lagering, what they call the lagering process, which allows you to make pilsners and lighter style, more effervescent beers.
Right.
Unlike the ales and stouts that were kind of, what everybody else was doing.
Right.
So they're the first ones in the game for this German-style beer in a town where there are all of these German immigrants that are just like, oh my goodness, this is the
beer
first
from
decent
home.
beer that I've had since I got here.
Right. It's the beer from home.
I compared it to Ryder. I went to an event this weekend, and my drink of choice, if you know me, you know this. My favorite drink
is a Manhattan.
And the scariest thing that can happen is when I go someplace and I walk up to the bar and I say, "May I have a Manhattan, please?" And the bartender says, "Sure." And then you see them look at their phone.
You're like,
"Oh, gin and tonic! Please no." But they are familiar with the lagering process. Everybody that was like, "Please, yes, German beer," German beer can finally get a good German beer. By the 1860s, there will be 40 other breweries that are doing the same thing.
Sure.
Some of them might still be around today.
What?
So they are so successful. And meanwhile, young William, who was like a year or two old when they moved here, he's all grown up. And so he goes to SLU and gets an education, and eventually he joins the family business. In 1862, Adam dies.
Oh, okay.
And so William is the one that takes over the business. We're going to call him William. There are several Williams.
Oh, yeah.
I've got nicknames for each of them.
Great.
So William, we're talking about
It's the original. It's the
Gen
OG.
1. Yes, OG William. OG William grows the business and his family. He marries Julia in 1941, I think. That can't be right.
No, that can't be right.
All right, well, he marries Julia, and they have 9 children.
Oh my gosh.
One of them dies soon after birth, and then 8 that live. So here is a photo of Julia.
Yep, I've seen that picture before.
She looks very stern. Like,
yes.
she looks the kind of woman that could raise 9 children.
Yeah, she does. She will tell them what to do, and they will do it.
Exactly. She has had a hard life. This is like the good life for her. She is fine. We don't know the first baby girl's name, but in order, we've got Anna, William Jr., we're going to call him Billy.
Okay.
Louis, Charles, Frederick, Hilda, Edwin, and Elsa.
Okay.
There will not be a quiz. We're going to we might not get to all of them in this part.
That's fine.
We're going to talk about all of them in due turn.
Okay.
All right. So 1876, they build the mansion, and it is a 33-room mansion.
Yep.
It still exists today. Spoiler.
Exactly.
It is a 33-room mansion, and then they move the family into it. And in 1878, by then, like, the business is booming. They have refrigeration. They're the first brewery to put refrigeration, like, in the brewery, even though they have the caves. They, like, move that down there so they can keep things nice and cold year-round. And William has the brilliant idea, like, wow, we can keep our beer so cold in the caves. Railroads are starting to be a thing. What if we could keep a railroad car cold?
Oh, nice.
Mechanical refrigeration is starting to be a thing. Mm-hmm. So he manages to refrigerate a couple of railroad cars, which means that this brewery is the first coast-to-coast brewery in the United States.
Wow.
Because we're right here in the middle of the country.
Exactly.
And you can get stuff to either coast before it gets warm and still deliver good, fresh, crisp German beer. He's innovative. He thinks about, like I said, the railroads and refrigeration and how do we market, and like manages to kind of, like, he's friendly and...
Right.
You know, and social. He's very involved in a lot of civic causes. And so, boy, the brewery just goes gangbusters. Nice. They are one of the biggest in the country. And Falstaff is their leading brand. Mm-hmm. Like I said, very civically, politically involved. This is a huge, huge thing. They have this giant room, giant 33-room mansion. The design is inspired by the Italian Renaissance.
Oh, nice.
They have radiators 5 years after they were invented.
Wow. They had money.
They have an elevator.
Wow.
That goes up all of the floors of the house. They have a basement pool that they use, like, with a kind of... Like, what do they call it when they put the hot pipes underneath your floor?
Oh, yeah, the radiated floors. I don't know what... I know what you're talking about.
They have the pool heated by that using the offset of, like, hot steam from the brewery.
Wow.
So, like, he's just really clever.
Yeah.
Like, he has a very, engineering kind of scientific mind. They build an amphitheater. and a freestanding shower somewhere down in the basement.
Wow.
It's the very first freestanding shower in St. Louis. It was brought to the house from Italy.
Oh my gosh.
I guess William Sr. went over and saw it and thought, oh gosh, I want one of those.
So they put one in the house.
So they just put one in the house. Wow. And hold on, let me see if I can find a screenshot of this. I'm not going to spend... Oh, here we go. Here's a little bit.
Oh,
so
wow.
it's like a clawfoot tub, but it's just got screened-in walls around it.
That is crazy. That's neat looking. I like it.
Brought in from Italy. William Sr., like I said, they have a bunch of kids. Frederick, who is the 5th kid and the 4th son, he really wants Frederick to be the one to take over for him. Frederick he sees like the most promise in, and it might be also, this is William's mom, remember, was Frederica, so I kind of wonder sometimes if you're named from my mama, you know, if that wasn't a little bit of
little bit of a push, right?
In 1901, though, Frederick is only 28, and he dies of heart failure. They don't know why. Could have been genetic, they don't suspect anything weird about it.
It's just
one of those things.
Right, exactly.
But it's the 20s. You have 9 kids. What, you think all 9 of them are going to live? No. Who do you think you are?
No.
Yeah. William, though, is heartbroken.
Yes.
I mean, the other kids even said, like, oh yeah, like he was always very vocal about the fact that Frederick was his favorite.
Oh, God.
So... Then, January 1st, in 1904, 3 years later, William is still, kind of not the same after the death of number 1 son, who's the number 5 son, but still his number 1.
Right.
Frederick Pabst, who is his very best friend, even...
I see where this is going.
Even though they're very, they're competitors. Frederick Pabst dies of a stroke.
Oh.
So he's lost his son, and now a few years later, he's lost his best friend. And you saw the picture of Julia. She wasn't very warm.
No, she's not.
This is William's best friend and his closest confidant. And so he is really, really devastated.
Oh, my.
And 6 weeks later, William Lemps Sr., goes up into his room and in the mansion, and he takes his life. He shoots himself.
Ugh.
He is 68 years old.
Wow.
So we still have 8 kids to talk about. And meanwhile, so all right, Frederick is gone. He was the one that was supposed to take over. Julia kind of, I think, through the people at the brewery, holds on to things for a little while. But then in 1905, the following year, she finally, she dies in the very same bedroom to cancer.
Oh, my.
She got sick, I think, right around the same time that her husband died. And so it was just like one thing after another. So Billy takes over.
Okay.
Billy is William Lemp Jr. He is the oldest one. So once Frederick's died,
right,
and Mama and Papa are gone, then, you need to get, all right, number 1 son.
Right.
Is going to do this. Janet.
Tracy.
Janet.
Tracy.
Janet.
Tracy.
I am going to show you a photo of Billy, because he is a lot of our story here. And I want you to just sort of describe what he looks like and what kind of a person you think this is, based on what you see in his face.
I'm ready to see.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, dear. I've seen this picture multiple times, but okay, so he does not he's clean shaven. He is just regular short hair, kind of combed back. His eyebrows they're blondish, but kind of jetting, and his eyes are clearly like a light color of something, because it's a black and white picture. Very stern looking on his face. He's got, I would not want to say no to him.
If you matched with him on Tinder and you showed up and he was just at the bar, how would that go?
I would not meet him.
Fair.
I would turn around and walk out.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, he's a nice looking guy. There's no, that's not what I'm saying. He looks like he kind of might have a chip on his shoulder.
To me, it seems like you don't see any joy.
No.
Or any kindness in that
No, well,
face.
I gotta take care of the business now.
Mm-hmm. Although he really doesn't. Like, he's kind of, all right, so Billy takes over. He is a playboy. He has caves underneath the brewery that were, like, usually used for, sure, they fostered the arts and all of that, and they had people over. This turns into Hefner's Grotto, basically, for Billy. Billy is, like I said, he was never supposed to inherit. He does inherit. And he ends up marrying a very wealthy socialite.
Okay.
Her name is Lillian Handlin. And you will probably recognize this picture, too, if you're from St. Louis.
Yes.
She's beautiful.
She is.
She is gorgeous. And, like, of the times of the early teens, early 20s.
Yeah, she almost has, what is it called?
Gibson?
Yeah, she almost has a Gibson girl look. Mm-hmm. Yeah, soft features.
Big eyes. Pale skin.
Yep.
Flowy, soft dresses. All of that. She is gorgeous.
She is.
She is very pretty. She is also from a family that is pretty much as well off as his. So she's she's having her brat summer, she knows she's pretty. She knows she's wealthy, and she knows that she doesn't necessarily need him.
Right.
But they are both such party people, and he is so charming and has so much to offer. When you were a woman in those days, you don't get to go out and see society until you're a married woman.
Right.
So I think that they sort of fed upon each other. I wrote in my notes, they kind of do become like F. Scott and Zelda. There's just so many parties, so many things. She is known as the Lavender Lady.
Oh.
And that is because Lillian is obsessed with the color purple.
Oh, okay.
And I mean obsessed.
Obsessed.
She dresses in purple. Everything she has is purple. All of the walls in the house, in her portion of the mansion, the interior, everything is painted purple. All of the decor is purple, this sort of thing. She even goes so far as to have her horse and carriage, the carriage harnesses, stripped down so they could be dyed lavender.
Oh my gosh, wow.
So that she would have lavender everything when she goes out amongst the town. And going out amongst the town, she sure does. Because Billy, he marries her, and it's real fun to be married to the woo girl for a little while.
Oh.
But after a bit, he's kind of just he's bored with her. He wants something different.
Gotcha.
So he's got all of those caves downstairs where there's a bar and an amphitheater and all of that.
Yeah.
He spends his days kind of running the brewery. And then his nights down in the caves. And conveniently, there's a tunnel in between the mansion and the caves that you can go back and forth from. If it's raining, you can walk to work. I want that kind of commute. I want that for me. Well, he needs to do something, though, with Lillian, because she's very family, money, prominent. So he starts sending her out. He's got all of his inheritance. He owns the brewery, which is very successful. And this is the part that I think is really funny. He's ignoring the brewery. He's ignoring his wife. He's hosting all of these parties in the caves. He's a good time Charlie. Lillian is a showpiece at first. He's kind of done with it. And so he sends her out shopping. And the story says that he gives her $1,000 a day.
What?
Which is apparently around like $20,000 a day.
Jesus.
And he says, well, if you don't spend it all today, then tomorrow you're cut off.
What? Wow.
So, I mean, yes, she was a spendthrift, but she kind of also, he Brewster's millioned her, Janet.
Wow.
You have to have, here's this money, but you have to spend it. You can't give it away. You've got to
Oh my God.
So I am sure that that would have been a really good time to be a domestic in the house and kiss up to Lillian.
Exactly.
Otherwise, she was just buying dresses and purple horse harnesses, and she was in the early 1900s equivalent of the Pink Pony Club. She's spending all of this money, and during this time, he is also kind of starting to let the brewery go. He's more interested in the party. Oh my gosh, This is doing so well. All this money is coming in. What could go wrong?
Everything.
These people all seem to love me when they come over to my basement cave.
Right.
And I give them beer. And he also hires a bunch of sex workers. So because it's mostly men down it's all men down in the caves, unless you're a working girl.
Right.
Are we good? Okay, good. So during this time, maybe the most scandalous thing happened about the family, and that is that one of these sex workers has a baby.
Oh, okay.
That is said to be Billy's.
Oh, no.
Kind of just born on the wrong side of the blanket, outside of marriage. And I'm records say that this child did not exist, but this is the sort of person that could have gotten rid of records. Right. So this is the big, and we're going to get into this more in part 2, but this is the big scandal kind of with the Lemp family. Wasn't he the father to this child? And I'm also geez, dude, you have 9 kids already. I also looked into what contraception was in that day. And the prevalent medicine said that knocked up and not yours, just drink copper and salt in water.
Oh my God!
And that'll take care of it.
Wow.
Oh, Missourians, please vote.
Right.
Vote yes on 3.
Yeah.
But, so there's no history officially of the baby, but while the descendants will deny him, there are staff that had worked at the house at that time that are on record of saying that this child did exist.
Wow.
And we will talk a little bit more about that baby when we get there. Anyway, we're going to talk about 1908.
Okay.
So, Billy and Lillian. Lillian has finally had enough.
Yeah.
She's tired of spending $1,000 a day.
It's so terrible. She's had a rough life.
And your husband sleeping with oh my gosh, she's so tired of not having to sleep with her husband and also getting a huge
amount of
money every day. But they divorce, and that divorce is the talk of town. She says that she cites desertion and, quote, under other indignations. Desertion and other indignations.
Nice.
Which was apparently grounds for divorce back then. They are, like I said, though, they're very prominent people. Billy has done nothing but build up his life to be this party boy that everybody knows.
Right.
And everyone that's partied with Billy knows how scandalous Billy is. Right. So this is basically the Bravo TV of its time. This is the Real Housewives of St. Louis. everybody shows up. They're turning people away at the courthouse.
Wow.
Because everyone wants to know the details.
Right, of course.
What did Lillian say? Did Billy really? They want to hear all of the dirt. And so everybody shows up for the tea, and it's a huge, huge scandal. But finally, when the dust settles, Lillian gets full custody of William III.
Wow. Okay.
We're not going to call him Billy. We're going to call him William because Billy was the father.
Right.
And yes, William is the second.
Gotcha.
Or the third, technically, but yes. Anyway, he gets, Billy was the second, and William III is the son.
Right.
And she gets him, she gets the house, and, just basically kind of custody of, not the brewery, but any of their marital assets.
Oh, wow.
A whole lot of stuff. Now, don't feel too sorry for Billy. He still has plenty.
Right.
And so much that he's going to build a new house over the Merrimack.
Oh, wow.
On the Upper Merrimack.
Yes.
Which we're familiar with.
Uh-huh.
And he's going to call the house All's Well.
That ends well? No, just all's well. That's it?
We'll get to the ending later. For now, it's all's well.
Uh-huh.
For now, it's all's well. Billy is there, living by himself. But probably not lacking for company.
Right.
And Lillian is living at the mansion with William III, and there's a whole other kid that may or may not be living in the attic, depending on the story that you believe, but we don't talk about it. So we've got Lillian and Willie III.
Yes.
And there's just way, way too much for us to talk about today. So there's a whole lot. The second half actually probably has a lot more of the dirt, believe it or not.
Absolutely.
So this is going to be 2 parts. We're getting to the good part or the bad part. But we are kind of bumping up against Prohibition. And I think that's really where we should start the second half of our story.
Right.
So I am going to leave y'all hanging on the first half of the story of the Lemp family.
Nice. Awesome.
All right.
I'm so glad you're covering this.
Oh, for sure. There are some that just seem so big to me where I'm like, oh gosh, I would love to do this murder. I'd love to do this thing. And some of them are just...
There's a lot going on. There's so many Lemps. There really are.
There were 9 kids in the second generation. And then you've got one after and one beyond that you have to get to.
Yeah.
So, there are a lot that I look at it and I'm just like, oof. And so some things do just need to be broken up.
Right, exactly.
And this is one of them.
Okay, well that was awesome.
Yay. All right.
I can't wait to hear the second part.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go to my story.
Yes.
So we're trying to stick a little bit in the spooky season theme.
Right.
And we know that there are a lot of different movies that have followed this trope basically, but it comes from a real place.
Okay.
Okay. You know the movie Scream, where there's people's calling and the phone call happens inside the house.
The calls are coming from inside the house. That's one of the first babysitter stories that you hear as a teenager.
Absolutely. And so that's pretty normal. There was several films that follow this trope. In 1971 we have Foster's Release. 1973 we have The Severed Arm. 1974 The Black Christmas. 1977 The Sitter. 1979 When a Stranger Calls. 1993 A Stranger Calls Back. 2006 When a Stranger Calls. 2006 When a Killer Calls. So you get the point. I mean,
completely.
Yeah.
It's the story that you hear at summer camp.
Right. It's
You
just
know.
like the babysitter's home alone. They're babysitting. They get a phone call. Something terrible happens to them. So, let me get to the real story. Have you heard of Janett Christman or Christman? She was an 8th grader in Columbia, Missouri in 1950.
God, remember, even when we were young, remember when, like, you used to get to go babysit young children?
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, we'll be home at 1 in the morning.
Right.
Good luck with these kids that are 5 years younger than you.
Yeah, she was almost 14. So we're right at that age. March 18th, 1950. It was a gusty winds evening. It was raining. It was sleeting. It was about 20 degrees outside. We're in the middle of March, in the middle of Missouri. She was in 8th grade. She ended up deciding to skip an 8th grade party that was happening that evening because she agreed to babysit Mr. and Mrs. Ed Romack's 3-year-old son.
See, yeah, I can make money.
Right, exactly.
I can make candy store or dollar show money if I...
Apparently, she was doing this. The reason why she skipped the party to babysit is that she really wanted money because she was making payments. She was about to make a last payment on a new burgundy suit that she purchased for Easter Sunday.
Oh, gosh. Remember layaway?
Right, right, exactly. I did layaway until it was gone. So anyway, so she's saving up her babysitter money so she can make this last payment, get her burgundy outfit for Easter. Her parents, they owned Ernie's Cafe and Steakhouse in Columbia, and they used to live above the restaurant.
Okay.
She, the family that she was babysitting for, they lived right on the outskirts of Columbia. So it's like, here's the line for Columbia, Missouri. They're right on the other side, practically.
Okay.
Ed Romack, that's the father of the person of the kid she was going to babysit. She goes out there, kind of up on a hill, not a lot of stuff around them. He shows her, well, here's how to load my shotgun in case you need something. And, if somebody knocks on the door, make sure to turn the light on when they come to the front door. That way, you can see them.
I'm sorry, what?
This is 1950 in the middle of Missouri.
No, but this is not part of normal babysitting instructions, is it?
Well, I think because they did live kind of on the outskirts of everything, it's like if you want to protect yourself.
But this isn't
college. Well,
in case they come up and they mistake you for a Shakespeare's pizza? Are you kidding me? Janet, I'm sorry. We can't move on just yet.
Yes, we can.
We cannot move on just yet. You're going to be babysitting. Hi, you're 13. Here, have my shotgun. Here's how to shoot it.
Here's how to load it.
And load it.
It's a very different time. That's all I have to
say. Indeed, but still.
Missouri likes their guns.
We do, but still.
Anyway.
Unless it's like bears have tried to come in the back door 3 times this week. Here's how you need to know how to load and shoot a shotgun. I do not see how this is relevant. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry.
It will be fine. Well, it won't be fine because I'm telling the story. But anyway.
You've ruined me.
At 7:50 p.m.
Okay.
Ed and his wife, they end up leaving the 3-year-old by the name of Greg in her care. Greg, they told her, Greg, he likes to sleep with the radio on, and he's pretty much, pretty easy to deal with. And she's like, okay, he's not a problem child. So
just fire a couple off the window. It'll be fine. He goes to sleep. It helps settle him down.
So what they were going to do is they were heading out to go play cards. And their friend Robert Mueller was also going to play cards with them.
Okay.
At 10:35 p.m., Officer Ray McCowan, he gets a phone call from a girl screaming hysterically at the other end. The only thing they get from her is "come quick," but by the time the phone call ended, they did not get the identity of the girl. It's already late enough to where the operators aren't around to record anything. It's just so they can't trace the phone call. When the family gets home at 1:35 a.m. because they're out playing cards.
So nobody. I guess they can't trace it, so they don't know where to go.
Yeah, they don't even know where it came from. It's just
and nobody bothers to check around.
I don't know.
In this small town.
I don't know. But at 10:35 a.m., the Romax, they return home and they find the blinds are open on the house. The port light is on. Both the front and back doors are unlocked, which isn't really anything weird because
nobody leaves
locked
anybody their doors locked.
And they did see a side window was broken, but it didn't really make any sense.
Raccoons,
When they come in, now I didn't read anything about Greg, so I assume Greg was just asleep. They find Janett laying in a pool of her own blood by the piano.
Oh, gosh.
There was evidence that there was a struggle and that she did put up a fight. The struggle started from the kitchen next to the phone and went through the hallway and ended in the living room.
She tried to call. She fought back. She was 13.
Yeah.
She was 13.
They did find wounds on both sides of her head, and they also found puncture marks that appeared to be made by a small metal instrument. The death was ruled as asphyxiation. They did find the weapon, the reason why she was strangled to death with an iron cord.
Oh, and did that make the puncture marks as well? Or
they didn't know what the puncture marks were from, but they said it was some kind of small metal thing. The sheriff deputy, when walking around, he felt like it was an inside job because the person who came into the house, she clearly let them in, even though the window was broken. It was a weird window to be broken. She clearly knew the person because she
Those
came in.
two things are kind of weird things to be true at once.
I know,
You know what I mean? Like a broken window and then also oh, hello, come on in?
Right. So they mentioned the broken window, but when the sheriff looked around, he was like, this feels like the person who came in here knew the house.
Right.
The Boone County Sheriff's Department, they arrive, and as this is their primary jurisdiction, again, they're right on the outside of Columbia, so now we're kind of relying on Boone County. They end up, checking for the fingerprints, and they end up actually bringing some bloodhounds out. The bloodhounds, they follow a trail, and then it just kind of leads to nothing. So they lose track. Then the Columbia City Police, they also become involved. And they send out this man, he's a brand new police officer for Columbia, Paul Chevins. He's new to the force. And so for the next 12 nights, they have him stay at their house from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. to make sure, to see if he comes back.
Okay, just the overnights, just to see what's going on.
Yeah, to see if maybe he comes back. They don't know. She was asphyxiated. She was also sexually assaulted.
Oh.
Within days of the investigation, the police, they're trying to figure this out, but then people start complaining about, a carpenter, apparently he was taken into custody and questioned, and he claims that he was beat during the investigation. And he's just they're not very good at investigating this, is what I'm trying to get around.
Well, I was going to say, and there's no way to confirm or deny.
Right. A student eventually does say they confess to it, but then they figure out it was just probably a student trying to get attention. It's clearly you're not it.
I've never understood that, but that seems to happen a lot, doesn't it?
I don't understand why. What's going on? Why would you do that?
I mean, that's not the kind of attention that you want.
No, absolutely. some people like...
But it does happen. Like, there's some times that people are just like, oh, put me in the public eye. Oh.
Exactly. Powell from Boone County, where it all started, because Boone County was the first to investigate it. It seems like all this information, because the Columbia City, they keep like bringing in and talking to different people that might be suspects, but Boone County is totally being left out. Mm-hmm. There's not much communication between the two jurisdictions. Eventually, Powell starts to think, that Robert Mueller guy that went to the card, met him at the card place, to play games, he's a friend of Ed's.
So maybe, wow, this just now occurred to him.
Right. So because apparently Mrs. Romack, she, every time that this guy, Robert would come around, she did not like him. She's like, it's like he kind of touched inappropriately, like, the
people that are just like your friend's husband that comes up and like puts the arm around you just for a little too long, or
and then and he had met their babysitter, Janett, the one who had died. And at one point, he made a comment to Ed saying, "Well, she's a well-developed form."
Oh,
so, yeah. So he's.
Oh God, that's so gross.
So Robert, he even asked if she would babysit at his house, and she's like, "No, I'm gonna babysit here. No, thank you. I'll pass."
No.
And then when he ended up getting questioned, they really felt like it was him. And when they asked him if he had done it, he said, "I might have done it, but then I had forgotten."
Oh, you just forget about murdering a 13-year-old?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, the whole, I'll babysit at your house?
Yeah, like he was trying to get her to babysit at his house and not theirs.
Did he have kids?
I don't know. They don't say.
Or, like, was it just like, because otherwise that's like extra creepy.
Yeah, it's super, he's creepy. And then he also happened to carry around with him a metal pencil that matched the puncture wounds on her.
Oh no, like a mechanical?
A metal pencil.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have to look and see what that was.
There are some things, and I know this, like there are some things that like where it's a leadless pencil. Where it's like a piece of metal, but then when you...
it writes, yeah.
No, I've seen those before.
Eventually, after being put in front of a grand jury, there just was not enough findings, and the judge, like they couldn't find anything, and the judge basically he reprimanded the two Columbia City and Boone County. He's like, you need to. Why did you not? Why are you not working with each other?
Kind of like the Burger Chef murder that we had for our live. I was just, it was the same sort of thing, like everybody has just got so much ego in the game that instead of sharing information...
Yeah, they're hiding it from each other.
Because everybody wants to be the hero.
Right. And then after, basically they can't find anything of him, Robert was like, well, I'm not sticking around here. So he moves out of Columbia and he ends up joining the Air Force. He ended up dying in 2006 at the age of 83.
Oh my
Nothing ever happened to him. Powell, again, the original sheriff from Boone County, he always thought it was him, but he just felt like he used his connections to obscure evidence and just not get charged. Now, the interesting part of this, they've never, unfortunately, this is one of those unsolved ones.
Right.
I know. But between 1946 and 1950, well, actually, 1946, 2 blocks away from where this happened, Mary Lou Jenkins was strangled with an extension cord, and she was also about 13.
Oh, no.
And there was also a string of rapes and peeping toms between 1946 and 1950. So from the first murder to the second murder. Mm-hmm. But, they never figured it out.
So we think that he is probably
It was probably
culpable
him.
for more than
probably him.
Yeah.
And he moved away, and he ended up living a long life and dying at the age of 83. And they did. I read an article where they interviewed the son of Powell, and he was just like, "Yeah, my dad just always knew it was him, but there was just not enough evidence." To even get him.
Oh, gosh. And it's a situation, especially back in those times, where if you were somewhere and you kind of have a feeling that someone is off about the person that you live with.
Yeah.
As a woman or a child, you don't necessarily feel empowered to be able to speak up.
Right, and say, I don't like your friend, he's creepy.
like all you're going to be able to do is like put a target on your own self. But oh gosh.
So that it's not a very long story, but the fact that the police departments were just not getting along.
Completely. That happens so much. You know what? You know what makes you a hero?
What?
What makes you a hero is not solving the case or being the person that is out in front of everything. What makes you a hero is knowing that at the end of the day, you were the one that provided the closure for that family.
Right. And
you provided the closure for that victim. You were able to get justice for them.
Right. And the one thing that I forgot to mention, the cherry in the top to me, to where I'm like, he probably did it, is he was at that card game, and then about halfway through, he was like, oh, I gotta go home. Like, I guess he acted like he got a phone call.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, my child is sick. I have to go home early. So he left before they even went home.
So all these other people that could have said...
Yeah.
And didn't. Oh.
Yeah. So that's the story of Janett. It's sad. It happened. Apparently, when this happened, it really... There's people who are still alive today who remember her, and they're like, they've interviewed them, like this one gal, she was like, the day or two after they found her, the principal asked one of her friends to go to her locker, take her stuff, and take it, go halfway and meet like one of the parents or something. She's like, I still remember that. Like, we feel like we grew up, we had kids, we have grandkids, and our friend died a long time ago. They really still missed her. So,
that is terrible.
So that is my story, but that's where the whole phone call inside the house thing kind of sort of came from. So anyway.
Well, I don't have children to watch, so I think that it's time that I take you downstairs and show you my cave amphitheater, and then we will make a list of all of the children you're supposed to be watching.
I watch no children right now.
I know. And after that, hopefully we won't get a call from inside the house.
All right.
And we'll be back with What's Nice.
We'll be back with What's Nice.
Okay. Hey there, Muddy Buddies. Tracey here. Just here to talk about a few ways that you can help support the podcast. First of all, we want to thank everyone that came out to our first live for Big Muddy Mayhem. We want to continue to do these in the future, and we're working on the next one. We'll figure it out. That being said, right now, the ways that you can support the podcast. Number one, we are looking for suggestions. Thanksgiving month, November, is going to be Thankful for Our Listeners Month, and so all of the stories that we tell are going to be through listener suggestions. The best way, honestly, that you can help us reach new listeners, please, I know it's a pain in the ass, but if you have a moment, go and rate us 5 stars and just leave a couple of words as a review. The more that we get of those, the more that they kind of push us up in the algorithm and we can reach new listeners. Other ways that you can support the podcast. If you want to support us month to month, you can go to patreon.com and sign up to give just a little bit or a little bit more, as they say on Bad TV. Give us a little bit of a monthly support. And if you can't do that, we completely understand. But if you want to do a one-time donation, you can go to buymeacoffee.com and look for Big Muddy Mayhem, and you can support the podcast there. This kind of helps to offset the costs that we incur in producing and recording and all of that. And you know what? Honestly, if you give us too much money, we're just going to spend it on like a bottle of wine or something like that. And then we'll have a funnier episode for you. Anyway, we really thank you for listening. We thank everybody that came out for the live show. We appreciate all of you that tune in week after week. We appreciate your suggestions. And again, November is going to be Listener Suggestion Month, so please send them to us. And now, Janet, are we back for What's Nice?
We're back for What's Nice.
All right.
Welcome back.
Welcome back for What's Nice. And I think I go first here.
Yes, you do.
Mine is very short, but it is very timely. You are going to hear this on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. And Saturday, you are going to be able to, if you want to, go to the Lemp Mansion Halloween Bash.
Nice.
On 10/26. It is, okay, so stick with me here.
Okay.
It's at the mansion.
Right.
It's $100 a person.
Yeah.
But that gets you heavy appetizers, 3 live bands, a costume contest, and 4 hours of open bar.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So $100 is reasonable if you're
Right.
out to have a good time. Like I said, they do have cash prizes. They've done this for a while. Their appetizers are going to be heavy appetizers. I have looked at what they have on the menu there, and it is really, really good food. And they've got 3 live bands, and I think that you could potentially win your money back if you had a decent costume.
Oh,
Here
nice.
is their little... And then they also showed a picture or a few pictures of the Lemp Mansion last year at Halloween.
Oh, wow,
It looks almost like New Orleans.
Yeah, it does.
It's very crowded. There are a lot of fire pits and people just bringing out their best in the costumes. You may or may not still be able to rent a room there, but you could party like Billy if you wanted to.
Nice.
And you could attend the Lemp Mansion Halloween Bash. And they have a nice, kind of more low-key thing that they do every week. But I'm saving that for my What's Nice next week when we talk about the rest of the Lemp family.
Sweet. That's nice.
So tune in.
Okay.
Janet?
I have a What's Nice. We're in Columbia, Missouri. Columbia is University of Missouri, Columbia. They have a few colleges there, actually. And I learned about this place through Dan O'Brien.
Right.
A long time ago. Well, long time ago-ish. Flat Branch. Have you heard of Flat Branch?
I have not.
So it is a microbrew that opened in 1994 in Columbia, Missouri.
Okay.
The pub gets its name from a nearby creek, which was the water source for Columbia's first settlers. Flat Branch was Columbia's first brewery since 1841. The pub occupies a 1927 brick warehouse with a curved barrel trestle roof, and that was once a Hudson car dealership. Mm-hmm. They offer a diverse menu. They have handcrafted beers. I've eaten there many times. Traditional pub favorites like catfish and chips, bratwurst and kraut. They have...
I'm there for the bratwurst.
Yeah.
Catfish is the one that I don't
You won't
eat.
do that.
Oh, God, but Ryder and his dad both love it. Every time we go to Mount Vernon, we go someplace that has fried catfish because they both just, mow down on it.
Right, yeah. They have burgers... You have a bacon apple jam burger, mushroom Swiss, 4-alarm, bacon cheese pub, the Big Chief, black and blue. It's a pub burger covered in Cajun seasonings.
Ooh,
They
yum.
have Texas burger, your classic, and then a Flat Branch burger, which is topped with chokes and cheese. I don't know what chokes are.
Artichokes, probably.
Artichokes, okay.
Yeah, so like a spin art dip kind of thing, maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, they have just your regular pub food, but I think they also have brick oven pizza. Every time if you go there on a weekend, it's almost always pretty crowded. They have a nice little outdoor seating area as well. I've been going there for a while now.
I am just going to be grumpy now until I get a mushroom and Swiss burger, because that sounds... it's one of my favorites.
So that's a picture of the building right there.
Oh, lovely. Okay, yeah, cute. It does. It looks like it's sort of the little town place that's just big enough to fit everybody that's local when they all show up on the same night.
And there's a little area to sit outside on the front, and then that's the inside. They have a big bar, and then they have a lot of seating.
Live music, places to sit, indoors, outdoors, and the menu does sound like it would feed and please everyone.
Right, and they have a kids
catfish
menu too.
eaters and non-catfish eaters alike.
Right. But it's a nice place. I've eaten there many, many times.
And, if you find yourself in Como, as I imagine you probably do.
Every once in a while,
once in a while now.
Go eat some Flat Branch. So, but that's what's nice for Columbia, Missouri.
That sounds fantastic.
So I think this is where we end.
This is where we end. We've still got one more story for you in spooky season.
Yes, we do.
So you'll get one at the end of the month, on the 30th, I think, next week.
Yes.
And we are also going to... I've got a little bit of a geeky...
Nice.
Special treat that we will release for you just to help you celebrate your Halloween. Thank you for sticking with us for the last year. We really appreciate you tuning in and listening. Like I said, ratings and reviews are the best thing that you can do to help us. And then also maybe just tell one more person.
Right.
Because we have heard so many stories of someone who's like, I heard one episode of your podcast and I really liked it.
Exactly.
And then they come back and listen, and then maybe they tell one person.
Right.
And this is how we get there.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, in that spirit, what that would be doing is to stay
Midwest nice.
To stay Midwest nice.